Hey everyone, this is Pierre Villard for a new NiFi video. Thanks for watching. Today I want to talk about a new feature that we just released here at Datavolo. This is a GitHub Action to help you with CI/CD pipelines, especially when you are using the new features to directly version your flows into GitHub. So this is a GitHub Action that is going to help you when you are creating a branch for making changes on your flows and opening a pull request to let someone review your changes and merge the changes and then trigger CI/CD pipelines to deploy your flows in production. This is really CI/CD overall is really something that I'm focusing on right now. This is the first step. This is the first thing that we are releasing, and I'm very happy about it. So I will demo this today in this video. Before I jump into it, I want to mention a few resources that we have at Datavolo that you may find useful. First of all, there is the Dev Center where we provide a bunch of tutorials that you can use to ramp up on NiFi and understand how new features are working and so on. And there is a tutorial about versioning NiFi flows with GitHub that might be useful. That's partly what we are going to discuss about today. There is also a YouTube channel for Datavolo where we publish a bunch of videos very frequently. So also feel free to have a look and subscribe to that channel. Finally, before I get into the demo, as part of this feature release, we also published some documentation where I dive into the CI/CD topic for NiFi. This is the first step, as I said. We are building a lot of things around this, and this is just like a preview. And for now, we really focus on the feature that we are going to talk about today. But have a look. All of the links are available in the description of this video. Okay, now the GitHub Action. Before I demo it, this is available on the GitHub Marketplace, so you can go in GitHub Marketplace for actions, and you can easily find it. I will explain in details how this is working, what it's doing, and so on. It's super straightforward to use. All of this is completely open source, so you are free to use it in your deployments. Okay, let's jump into it. So just maybe take a step back and explain something that is new with NiFi 2. In NiFi 2, the registry client is an extension point, and we added new implementations, specifically GitHub and GitLab registry clients in NiFi, allowing you to directly version your flows in GitHub or GitLab without the need for using the NiFi registry anymore. The big advantage of doing this is that now you can leverage the branching feature of those Git repositories, meaning that you can have your versions of your flows, and then when you want to make some changes, you can create a branch, make your changes, commit those changes on that, let's say, development branch, and then open a pull request to have someone review, accept the changes, merge those changes back into the main branch, and then trigger the CI/CD pipeline to deploy this new version automatically into the production environments or whatever environments you are using for NiFi. So that's really what I will be demoing today, just the first part where we are branching flow versions, making changes, submitted those changes, and see how this GitHub action is really helping you with this. Okay, let's get started. I will go straight here in GitHub and create a new repository. So nothing really specific. I will choose myself as the owner. I will name it NiFi Flow Gallery. I will make it public. It could be private, doesn't make any difference here. And I will create a README to have something to start with so that I can show you the repository. So here it is. I have my repo. Everything is looking good. Now I will right now set up the GitHub action on it. So if you go to the marketplace, there is a description on the usage. So it's very straightforward. You just need to create a file. So just copy paste this file path. So add file, create new file. Okay, I paste the path here. I go back to here, and then I copy paste the workflow definition to leverage the action that we just released. So basically what it's going to do is that as soon as there are pull requests and updates on pull requests, we are going to execute this workflow that is basically checking out what is the flow definition that you are submitting containing your changes. We are also checking out the original version of the flow definition so that we can make a diff between the two. And we will execute the action that will provide a comprehensive description of what are the changes and commenting the pull request with this description. So let's commit the changes. And now we have this workflow available on our repo, and it's leveraging the Datavolo NiFi Diff GitHub action that we just released. Okay, now let's go straight into NiFi. So in there, this is NiFi 2. We can go into the menu, controller settings here, registry clients, and here you can add your registry client. As I said, there is a GitHub Flow registry client option. There is also a GitLab. So in this case, I want to use GitHub, and I already configured it so that I already provided my personal access token here. But basically, what I said is just have my username as the owner of the repo, the name of the repo, and that's it. Now, if you want to use this repo for not just flow definitions, you could, like, for example, use this repo also for the code of your custom components and so on. In that case, you could say, okay, my flow versions should be in that specific directory. This is something you can do. And in that case, I will set this this property here, repository path, to the path of the directory where flow versions should be stored. But in that case, I will use this repo just for flow definition, so I'm using the root level of the repo. Okay, that's it. Let's go back to the NiFi UI, and I can create a process group and say my first flow here. That's my process group right here. I can go inside of it and just generate flow file and, like, I don't know, update attributes, something straightforward. Okay, success here. I will auto terminate the relationship so that we have a flow that could get, we could start it. So very basic, and I'm going to right click version, start version control. As you can see, this is using my registry client. Right now, I only have the main branch, so it's selecting the main branch directly. I didn't create any directories in my repo. So it's going to create a default one for me. If I do want to create buckets, I just create directories in my repo. Buckets are basically a way to logically separate your flows. It's up to you if you want to use buckets. If not, there is a default that is going to be created out of the box. Then you give this a name, my first flow, some description, and initial version. Okay, I will save this, and this is going to save my flow. You can see here with the green icon that the flow is version. And if I go back in the repo and I refresh, I now have the default directory, and inside of it, I have my first flow JSON file with my flow definition. So that's what we want. That's great. Now, as I said, with this registry client, something that is really great is that now we support branches. So let's assume that what is on the main branch is representing what is being deployed in production. Now, if I want to make changes and commit those changes without impacting what is made in production, I want to create a branch and work on that branch. So that's what I'm going to do. I go here, view branches. I will create a new branch. I will call it dev, and I will make it of the main branch. So create new branch. I now have my dev branch. That's great. I can go back in here. And now if I go in NiFi, I can use that branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that this process group, which is using the main branch, is what is running in production. I'm not going to touch it for now. And I will just import a new version based on my dev branch. So that's what I'm going to do here. I drag and drop this. This is going to let me import from the registry. And here for the branch, I'm going to switch to dev. And here I can see I have my flow and I have the version. So I can import this and I can start making changes here. And all of the work that I will be doing is now on the dev branch. So let's go in there and make some changes. Okay, so let's say, I don't know, actually update attribute is really not what I want. I want to publish some data into, let's say, Kafka. So let's say publish Kafka here. That's what I want to use. So no update attribute anymore. And here I will configure things. So my topic, okay. Here I need to create a connection service. So I will create a connection service here. I won't configure everything, so it will be showing as invalid, but I don't have a Kafka topic. So let's just assume that things are configured. And here I will terminate success and failure relationships. Okay, so it will show as invalid because I don't have a Kafka topic, so I cannot configure everything. But let's assume it is configured, right? So now I can say, okay, commit local changes, and I can give this a comment. So switched from update attribute to publish Kafka. And I can save this. So now I just pushed a new version on my dev branch for that flow. Now, if I go back in GitHub, it's telling me, oh, by the way, there is a new commit on that dev branch. Do you want to compare things and create a pull request? Yes, I do. So let's do that. So now I can create a pull request. I could change the title. By default, this is the comments of the commit I just made. And I could give a description describing what are the changes about and so on and so on. I create the pull request, and that's what we have without the action, right? And if I go in the files changed, you would see a very, well, not so fun reading diff between two JSON files. And that's where the GitHub action is going to help you, because now it's running here and it's basically going to look at the differences between the two flows, and it's going to make a comprehensive description of the differences and what are the changes about. And this is going to add this description as a comment on the pull request. So after a few seconds, I will see a comment being added on the pull request. Here it is. And this is basically a description of what are the changes. So processor publish Kafka has been added with this configuration, blah, blah, blah. Controller service has been added with this configuration, blah, blah, blah. The destination of the connection changed from update attribute to publish Kafka, and we remove the update attribute processor. So that's the description, and everything is green. And now someone could go in there and review things, and now it's much easier to really understand what are the changes about compared to just a diff between two very big JSON files, right? So that's what we have. Now, someone could say, okay, I'm reviewing your changes and it's not exactly what I want. For example, publish Kafka is with only one concurrent tasks. This is not what I want. Please change it and do those changes and so on and so on. So whoever is working on that new version could go back into NiFi and make those changes. So for example, go in publish Kafka and say, okay, I'm not going to use one concurrent task, I'm going to use two. And publish Kafka, there is a failure relationship. So I could say, actually, in case of failure, I'm trying to send an email. So here, instead of auto-terminating failure, I will send failure to put email. I won't configure things. It's just to make you understand that you could make some additional changes and commit a new version. So let's do that. Refresh here and then commit local changes. Okay, added failure handling on publish Kafka. And that's it. Now, if I go back to my pull request, we can see here a new commit has been added with my changes, and you can see here that the action is running. So the action is running again, and is going to give you a new comment with a new description of what are the changes with this new version. And this is making the diff between what is in main and this latest version of your pull request. So it's going to be a cumulative description of what we had already before and the changes that I did before. So, and I did like the last changes I did. So here we have the connection failure from publish Kafka to put email. We have the connection service. We have the put email processor. We have the publish Kafka processor and the changes with update attributes. And now I could say, as a reviewer, I could say, okay, now it's looking good. That's great. That's what I want. There is the 2 concurrent tasks on the publish Kafka. It's good. So let's squash and merge the changes and say, yeah, that's okay. Let's do it. So, okay, this is merged into main. And now I can go back in NiFi. So that's the new version. That's great. If I go back up here, after a few seconds, the registry client is going to see that this version that is based on main is not up to date and that there is a new version. So we are going to give this a second, and here it is. Now we have the icon saying that there is a newer version of this flow available, and you can upgrade to it. Also, usually, once the pull request is merged, what you can do is to delete the branch associated to it. So that's what I'm going to do here. I deleted the branch. So now I have the changes in main. You can see pull request number 1 has been merged. And if I go back in NiFi and refresh here, after a few seconds, the registry client is going to see that the dev branch no longer exists. And it's going to tell you that this is no longer in sync with GitHub. And you can either disconnect it from GitHub or you can just delete it. I'm just waiting so that you can see what is the icon looking like when it happens. And while it's going to update here, the idea is that now in production, you could update the flow version to the latest. And obviously, right now we are going to do it manually, but at Datavolo, we are working on things so that you can automate all of those actions. Okay, so here you can see question mark icon. It means that basically this is no longer in sync with what we have in GitHub. It's saying that the branch dev is not found. So yeah, as I said, you can disconnect or just delete it. That's what I'm going to do here. Now, if I go into that directory, I can change version and go to the latest. So you can see here, this is the latest with my pull request number 1. I can apply, change, and that's it. I have the new version that is available with my changes. And now you can see the green icon again, saying that this is up to date with the latest version. So that's really what the GitHub Action is about. This is really to provide you with the best possible experience when you are going through this pull request mechanism, when you want to submit changes with new flow versions in GitHub. This action is available on the marketplace. The associated code is available on a public repo of Datavolo. Feel free to comment, make suggestions. Contributions are also welcome. This is free to use, available to anyone, so I hope you like it. I'm really excited about it, and we are working on a lot of things around CI/CD. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. I hope you like it. Provide some feedback. I will be more than happy to know what you think about it. And well, this is something that will improve over time. So feel free to make contributions, ask questions, and suggest improvements. Thanks for watching, and see you next time in the next video.